Hey, welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. Hey, top of the morning to you. Producer, always good to see you. And drive safe, I'm telling you, there's something special going on with the producer over there. His hair's a little bit more curly. It's got a little bit more live to it. Producer, you got to share your secrets.
You know what? I don't like to let out family secrets or anything, but my mom might have given me a little ointment, a little oil. She said, hey, whenever I went to go visit her, she told me, hey, your hair is thinning, isn't it? And I was like, thanks, Mom. Merry Christmas to you, too.
Yeah.
And so she made me a nice little oil to
It just
put
gets
my hair.
worse. I'm going to let the producer know. It doesn't.
Yeah, you know what? Your hair is thinning, and yet we're all envious of it right now. That's how bad it gets, producer. I want you to
It may
know.
be thinning, but it's not gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man, we love that. You know what? Hey, producer, good. Hey, Mom, hey, thanks for give me some of that oil, Mom,
Yeah,
if you
ointment,
can.
that
Mama
hair.
Holland, you know what? Oil me up, baby. Oil me up.
No, okay.
Try to keep it to
we're
the
gonna,
top
we're
of the
gonna,
head.
we're gonna,
You
we're
don't
gonna
need
call it
any
on
of
that.
the rest of the body. The rest of the body's covered.
Producer's like, no, next subject. Can we go somewhere else? Drive safe, Dave. Listen, article came out in The Guardian talking about masks. You know, we wear the mask, and it's saying, you know what? You look a little bit more sexy with the mask on than you do with the mask off.
I think there's many different styles, and I'm not sure I understand this because I get it, a smile's important, but let me ask you a question.
No, hold on. Before you get that, we got one of you, Drive Safe Dave. Producer, give me a Drive Safe Dave with his mask on, and now look at him with it off. I mean, there you if you could, you can pull off the president.
Yeah, and you know what? Which is it? Do you like the camouflage look? Here we go. Can you do a zoom in?
I like it because I can barely understand you. Big fan of that. Who'd you get that from? Your niece, your nephew?
I don't know. By the way,
that may not fit the producer.
And then I got the N95, which seems to be the recommended by the CDC. Kind of got a little point to it. I'm not sure, but it
makes you wonder what's under that mask. Though. You know what?
Wait a minute. And then you've got the ever-present, always flat, normal mask that everybody wears right here. What are you thinking about this one? Does this make it? Wow. I'm thinking.
I don't know.
Sex symbol?
You tell me out there, America. You tell me, is he sexier with it on or with it off, or do we need like a ski mask on the guy? I mean, you know what? That's the key. We talked about that. Hey, Dave, but yesterday, and we have some weird conversations sometimes. Yesterday we got into, I don't want to say a heated battle, but it was after hours battle. I called him up, and I said, because, you know, he's all-knowing, and we learned that yesterday from CNN.
Whatever.
We don't know what any of these words. USA. I was scared to ask him that question because I didn't know if he would know what USA stood for yesterday.
Woo!
I stayed clear from that conversation. But yesterday I'm walking, and I'm asking Drive Safe Dave, hey, Drive Safe, if you get a positive test on your COVID,
Yes.
does it mean you're positive? He goes, well, yes. I said, so if I go the next day.
Did I say that? I said
Yeah.
more than likely
Okay.
yes.
And if I go the next day or 3 days later and I get a negative,
Yes.
well, it may not be true though, Rick. You know, the negative could be a false negative, you know, and I'm thinking, well, hold on a second. Do you assume that it's always positive? I mean, when do you go back to work is all I'm saying, because Drive Safe Dave's under the belief that if you take a test until it comes back clean.
This
Now,
is not even the discussion.
Make sense.
This is not even the discussion we had. I just said you're more likely to receive a false positive on a test than you are a false negative on a test than you are on a false positive. I said, however, that's the greatness of these rapid tests, is that if you do take one and you get a negative, and after you've been positive, you do go back and you get a negative, then you're probably not as contagious.
Okay, what about the thing in here? And I know, and I was looking, I meant to share this, but there's different companies that have some odd policies around that. And let's mark that for a show for maybe next week.
You mean a COVID policy?
Just the COVID policies. And
Greatness.
one of them that I read was like like it's a faint positive. And well, if you treat a faint positive, it's a positive. I'm saying the tests are free. Go take another one. I mean,
Fake
what is
positive.
that even? Like it's slightly, it's kind of close. I can't tell. We're going to treat that as a positive. Producer Brian, say, help me out here. I mean, take another one.
15. Spend 15 more, and spend another 15 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. You can get 4 free tests by just signing up on the government's website or something, and
they mail you
they just
household
mail
per
you
household.
4 tests. Yeah.
And I can hear that right now, right across, America. You take the test, and there's no sign up. Well, I think if you look real close, you're going to see something in there. I think, you know what,
we should look at some of these policies, because I was arguing with my wife yesterday, because her company policy has this weird, they said 5 days after your symptom, after your last symptom. I'm thinking, what is that?
Well, when you get your positive on the test, you look at that, and it has this one thing, and so people want to follow that. But what supersedes what? Is it that thing that from the positive that says this is what you need to do, or is it your company policy? Maybe that's an HR question, but I'm curious myself. I mean,
there's so many different
rules.
You
have the CDC, you have Drive Safe Dave's rationale that says
that's what I'm trying to follow is the CDC guidelines.
And we'll never have any product in our shelves or anything like that.
Oh my goodness.
Detour. You have this sign on Drive Safe Dave. We talked about work zones yesterday. When we're in an era like we are right now, we're going to spend a lot of money right now on this infrastructure, on the bridges, on the roads. You name it, we need it. You're going to see signs like that.
Yeah, and there's something crazy about when you do these signs right here. And a lot of people these days use, GPS markers, and then when all of a sudden they hit detour, and then that thing starts going crazy when you make a detour. You've got to be prepared in these areas to be on your guard. And when you do have to get off of the roadway that you normally on, you got to make sure that in a big truck that you're very careful, because by design, that's probably not the area that is normally gets truck traffic or whatever. So you got to be very mindful. You got to look up top. You got to look below. You got to look on the sides. You got to make sure you're very careful. But make sure that you understand this means don't keep going on the roadway that you're going.
For certain, great interview yesterday. We had Corey with
nice.
No Cell Technology. Still don't know how to say his last name. We're just going to go with Corey. But we had No Cell Technologies, and we love the AI now. All of this the technology in this trucking industry. And coming up next, we have another great interview with Dan Powell, the CEO of Optimal Dynamics.
Yep.
Before we get to him, we're going to go to a break. Hey, this is BCB Live, and we're the safest station in the nation.
Hey, everybody. It's Drive Safe Dave here with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. As you know, winter is upon us, and with winter comes some difficulties and challenges. Now, if you live below or running below that 20 or I-10 corridor, you may not feel that pressure, but if you do, let's talk about a few little tips that we have. Tip number 1, let's make sure we get over here and we drain these air tanks. Let's get that moisture out of there so that we make sure, because moisture and freezing cold temperatures don't mix. All they make is ice. Tip number 2, remember when air temperature drops, so does pressure in these tires. You want to make sure that when you enter into or near cold temperatures, you make sure that your tire pressure is and cold pressure stays correct throughout these cold temperatures. You want to be safe out there, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Tip number 3, if it's extreme weather and extreme cold conditions, you may want to make sure that you use an anticoagulant or an anti-gel inside the diesel fuel so that it thins and doesn't gel up on you in the lines or anywhere else. Tip number 4, as you know, when you enter into the West, there are certain regions that require you to have snow chains and or snow socks in that region. Make sure that you carry them. And tip number 5, I'm going to give this one to you as a freebie. Carry with you a little bit of cat litter in your truck. That way, if you get a little bit stuck, or if you get near a region that doesn't have a lot of grip, you can throw that down and give your truck that needed oomph to get out of those sticky or slippery situations. For more pertinent and safety information, you can always tune in Monday through Friday, Central Standard Time between 7 and 8 a.m. and get that needed information on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right, welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We got a little delay going on with our interview today. I don't know if he skipped town on. No, we're having a little bit of problems. Hey, Daniel, we're going to get it figured out. You can't run from us here at BCB Live.
We're going to track you down.
We will track you down. We will stalk you, because it's just we got nothing else to do. Hey, producer. All right. So I was reading an article, and I guess the Texas DMV, we don't like some of the plates right now. We're rejecting some of the names on the plates. Is that right?
That is very right. There were over, I believe, 10 or thousands upon thousands of plates.
6,700 last year rejected. So it is a personalized license plate. You get to submit what you want.
Nothing wrong with that.
And then they have a review board of 6 people that go over the plates, and then
You can't just get what you want?
No, you can't just get what you want.
Well, give me an idea of something that was rejected.
Well, okay, personally, I don't think a committee of 6 people should tell me whether or not I can put Dad Bod on the back of my car. I think that's pretty funny, but whatever.
Oh, so these are some of...
Stud Muffin. Stud Muffin.
Girl Boss.
Yeah, but what they're trying to do is, they said in the article that they stick away from anything gender-related, anything race-related, anything having to do with violence, gang-related. So what they're trying to do is, and no government agency allowed whatsoever on the plate. So they are pretty restrictive on what you can put on there. So if you want to do something like your university, or if you want to do something like something else that's not as gender-related, you can do it.
Captain Morgan's pretty cool there.
Captain Morgan.
I'm a big fan of Captain Morgan.
The one that I really liked here was right underneath salty, and it took me a second to figure out what it said, and I was like, "You annoy you? Oh, you annoy me."
Yeah,
so
you
if you're
annoy me.
tailgating somebody, it's "you annoy me."
Like it as well. That would almost be, if I were to wear signs on my shirt, that may be the one I have during BCB Live. You have the detour, and I'd have it like an little arrow pointing that way right here.
And there's they had a bunch of different types of emissions. But what's really cool is that you can go out. I think it said in the last 10 years you've been able to get a personalized license plate.
I mean, how do you?
You have to pay $200.
I mean, first of all, shouldn't there be an odd number so somebody wins? I mean, if it's a 3-3, they just tie. It doesn't happen.
It's not
what
like
goes
a
on there.
I don't think everybody, they put them on the screen and it's like a raise your hand deal. I think, Jack looks at them today. Gary looks at them on Tuesdays.
It's
and
not
John.
going to a big congressional meeting.
No, it's not a conglomerate of people. I think it's just 6 people that scan over the deals at their own personal computer. Yeah.
But so you have the Texas DMV, then you have the Texas DOT. We're busy right now going on and digging up trucks. What's going on there, Drive Safe?
Yeah, so out in Tennessee, actually, they had that
that's
snowstorm.
Tennessee.
Yeah, it was Tennessee. It did start with a T, but out in Tennessee, they had a trooper out on a interstate actually go out. You got a video on that? Why don't you show that? It's pretty
Yeah, so here's just a picture of him. First of all, went out with just a shovel and his truck, dug out 12 vehicles and 2 big trucks from the snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, got him moving again and used his truck to push him out. Got him going. Here he is in this pickup truck. He dug out, you can see, he dug out snow up underneath the wheels, and then he's helping to use his 4-wheel drive with chains to get him going and to get. I don't know that pushing against the ICC bumper is a good idea, but he's out there trying to get these guys moving out there on the road, doing the hard work.
But you know what? Let me tell you something. Pushing against that ICC bumper, if you've done your pre-trip or you've done a post-trip and you catch it a little rusty, right? It's a little rusty. You may not want to have that DOT officer push on it because not only will he get you out, but then he may write you a ticket, right? If your ICC bumper falls off.
I'll tell you, shoveling snow is hard work. It is.
So when is the last time you shoveled snow?
When I was a kid, I shoveled snow. It's still hard work.
Where?
I did it. Germany.
Okay. Oh, you got me there.
I mean,
Okay. Yeah, next subject. I keep forgetting that, when he grew up that's way on the other side of 360. All right, I'll give you that. And I don't believe it. As an only child.
Oh, come on. I still had.
You probably weren't out there. I'm sure.
Sergeant Major had me out there.
Ding, 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 ding. Butler. Oh, Butler.
Trust me, the Sergeant Major had my butt out there shoveling snow away from the sidewalk. I can guarantee you that.
I don't know. I'm going to go fake news on that for a second. That's good. Drive safe, Dave. Hey, listen, we're going to go into a quick break one more time, and we're going to be back. We're going to see if we can get Daniel on here real fast or not. Regardless, it's important that you know that this is the safest station in the nation.
Absolutely. Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
You got to be prepared to stop. And when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
Hey, welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You know what? We're going to work on Daniel for another day. I think he's probably intimidated. Actually, I'm going to go, that's fake news. When I bring Daniel on and give him the introduction that he deserves, you're going to see we are probably not the ones that are deserving of
I'm going to wear a
right
different
here.
mask that day. Maybe it's this smile that's catching
I'm
me
just
off
going to
guard.
tell you something. You know, his friend group's a little different than our friend group. You know, he talks about hanging out with the guys from Princeton and NYC.
MIT.
Yeah, MIT and all that. And I'm thinking, all right, you know, and I'm hanging out with the JUCO guys, like my friend from the bar.
and we're not that close, but you know what? We pretend to be that.
All right, hold on. I am going to read this to you. So this is let me see if I have it here. Okay, here you go. So Daniel Powell. Daniel, I'm going to give you an introduction anyway. So here we go. Daniel Powell, he's the founder and CEO of Optimal Dynamics, a fast-growing company that deploys next-generation artificial intelligence for some of the logistical industry's most complicated challenges. When I'm not working in New York City or with my Princeton-based teams, I'm training for triathlons, practicing my skills in the kitchen, and spending time with my two rescue dogs, Clifford and Franklin.
Swipe left.
I'm sorry, right? I mean, hey, marry me. You know what? Hey, keep him away from my wife. I mean,
swipe left.
This guy's out saving America right
By
now.
the
Tell
way,
me what he's doing right now.
Once I'm done feeding the homeless in my nice bachelor pad with a skyline
He's
view.
on the road rescuing children.
And that's probably what's going on right now. He's probably out solving world problems. Meanwhile, we're right here just talking freight. Speaking of freight, we're going to
try to find a buffet line somewhere.
Yeah, not a far run for us. Hey, but speaking of freight, we're going to talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the market. When we look at that outbound tender volume right now, understand that volume is very high. Keep it right there. We look at this screen right here, the first screen, and we see the volume right now at 14,825. That's up, Drive Safe Day producer, from last year's at 14,281. And when you look at that second slide now, it's circled in the red. What we want to understand is, we see the trends, and if you looked a little bit further ahead, and I don't have that on here, you'll see that we continue to follow that same trend line that we had last year. And if you go to slide 3, you'll see what I'm talking about. We're going up in the blue. Last year was the green. You can see that big dip as we get closer to February. Hey, guess what? We saw the exact same dip today, as we approach the end of the month. It's not crazy. It's still so much more freight than we've ever seen before. And if you look at that fourth slide there, you can go ahead and look at what I'm talking about. And if you look at the years in the past, you'll see that volume at the beginning of the year under that 10,000 mark at 96.31. There's a couple of years mixed in there. It's the same numbers. As a matter of fact, it's the same number every year. But now you see the new trend line. That new trend line pushing greater than the 14,000 mark. That 14,000 is the new trend right now that we've got to realize is real. That's what we've got to expect as trucking companies, as shippers, as receivers. And when we think about all that, we look at the fifth slide, and you can see the same trends tend to happen. If you look at that bottom shelf, you can see the trend lines always remain the same, except for COVID. We saw last in 2020, we saw the big increase in March, and then it just boom, just plummeted, and it came back up later on in August the 14th, 15th, 16th, the 22nd, somewhere towards the end of August, began the new trend in what we see today. And I just say, let's remember, let's not fight it, because with that also comes that last screen, and that's that outbound tender rejections. We look at us today at 21%. Again, just 1.59% under last year. It's but a little bit more freight. There's so much freight out there being rejected right now, Dave. And why is that? Well, because there's a lot of drivers still out with COVID.
Yep.
We have office staff out. We have all of, we have all of this really kind of going on right now, and we have to just realize that, the rejections are crazy. I mean, if you look at that last number from the years past, we're at 8%. 8.17 is where we are today at 21. Last year at 22.
And we're at 22 of much more freight.
Considerable much more freight. And now we see, again, we're looking at those companies that have the local drivers that are around each other. We're seeing, again, still 15% of those drivers out right now, not working because of COVID, right? Because of their independent contractors, perhaps. This is just the time they take off. They go back home. They schedule their vacation. Why? Well, because this is supposed to be the slowest time of the year. It is, because it always has been.
Yep.
And if it always has been, you know what? Then it is today. And that's just not the case. No. So expect, again, this year, freight to hang out about what it did last year. Yep. Very heavy throughout the rest of the year. We see some great posting results from JB Hunt came out yesterday. Their fourth quarter, great numbers as well on that truck side. But just so many rates going out right now. The struggle, though, let's just be honest, is drivers.
Yep, it's drivers and trying to keep them out there on the road and doing what we've got to do. I look at these and
I say drivers, I mean lack of drivers, right?
It's trying to keep
the shortage of drivers.
Right.
It's the shortage of equipment. It's the shortage. It's even, Dave, it's the drivers that are working for companies that say, you know what, I want to be an independent contractor now. It's my right, and you know what a great time to be an independent contractor. However, I just want to throw the however. I love the howevers. Great time, right? Rates are as high as we've seen. However, the truck prices are higher than we've ever seen in our history.
I've never seen a used truck for $150,000. I mean,
So when you think about what you're saying about that, you have lack of parts, you have lack of equipment. It's
Absolutely.
a great time to go out there, and I say that it's a great time. However, you're going to overpay for a truck, and when you overpay for a truck, or you go into a lease purchase option, I say that I'm not a big fan of that, never have been. But when you go into a lease purchase option, understand that once the rates go down, the used truck market goes down. How are you going to afford that $150,000 truck that you paid for today? And in 8 months or in a year, it may really only be valued at $70,000.
And I'm going to tell you another really big factor. And as we know with a used truck, you're going to, and with any truck, you're going to have a mechanical issue, right? It's just part of the issue. Right now, parts for trucks are so hard to come by. In fact, it is not uncommon for trucks to sit 4 weeks waiting on a part on national back order. I mean, and can you imagine the cost that you're as associated with not being able to run that truck based upon a single part? You can't even find some of the parts. They're running around scrounging looking for specific parts right now because they're not out there.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with you on that across the country right now in the independent contractor fleets. Okay, I'm not talking about the independent contractors that are running under their own authority. We're seeing about a 12% drop of trucks running today on the independent contractor that say they're in shop status. Now, they may be off, but why would you just I tend to believe the data today that says if they're in the shop status, they really are in shop. Because
Correct.
Why would they just stay at home when they can go out and make money?
Right.
And the contract doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. They have an opportunity to go out and make good money out there right now. But I would agree with you right now, and we're going to see that. I don't see that going away either, that shop trend. I think it's going to be up, elevated, and high. They can't get out.
No, they can't. So, Dave, I'm going to go into one more thing. And we just spoke to a gentleman yesterday at a decent-sized shop, right?
Absolutely.
So here's the issue. Now let's just say they have your part in stock.
There's nobody to put it on.
Say that again.
There's nobody to put it on. They're having the same shortages of staff inside these shops across the country. There's not enough diesel mechanics. There's not enough labor out there to actually get the work done that needs to get done. And it goes across the board. It's not just the maintenance guys. It's the guys out there making the parts. It's the guys shipping the parts. It's the guys running it across. They get stuck in a container offshore in L.A. How long is it going to be before it lands, Rick? I mean,
and when it lands, that person may be out sick now that was going to repair that.
Absolutely.
Drives a great point on that. the labor shortage is not just affecting the truck drivers, it's affecting the offices, it's affecting the fuel stations, and yes, it's affecting those shops as well, because they are fighting for the same group of people to come in and work and to get this done. It's not that there's that much more work. It seems like it. It's just that there's that much more of a shortage of workers. We still see it at the restaurants.
Yep.
We see it in, you walk up and down the road or drive it, you're going to see it. You open up that help wanted sign, it's there.
Yeah, and it's everywhere. It's pervasive across the country. It's in every industry. We hear it in healthcare workers, right? We hear it in government agent. We hear it in first responders. We hear it in every time you turn on the news. It's talking about a shortage of some kind or another in this country, and it extends not from the goods, but also from the services available to you. It extends not only from your ability to go out and do what needs to be done, but get it done with something, right? I mean, because you're gonna run into either an empty shelf, or it's not in inventory, or it's on a back order, or whatever the case is. The times are difficult, and we've got to band together and to get through this. I think it's going to be something, and I think that all continues to elevate that need across the board on this ship.
Yeah, and I want to talk to our audience out there today. Again, our audience are the drivers that may work for, different trucking companies, independent contractors. I do say this, we're in a different time than we were a year ago. A year ago, the used trucks were still out there. The prices hadn't gone crazy yet where they are today. Right. And they're out of control right now.
Yes.
I'm going to say this to you: if you have that desire, that wish to go out and start your own company, to be an independent contractor under your own authority, hey, listen, I'm a big believer in that. We started our companies, a few, and guess what? That means we had to quit doing what we were doing to start your own company. It's the American dream. A big believer in it. The trucking companies out there that are losing these drivers, the drivers that are thinking about it, I ask this, y'all work together to go over the number, to help this person that's going to leave you, make sure that they're making a good business decision. Right. Encourage them to leave if, in fact, it's better for them. It's okay. But also you, the driver that's leaving, or you put the numbers together and help them make a good business decision. Make sure they're not running out into something, into a false dream. Because I'll say it and I believe it, that if it seems like it's too good of an opportunity to be true, it probably is. It tends to be. Who are you going to? Is it a reputable company? Do they have that consistent freight today? Or are they, like many companies, just living off that spot market side, which is not where you want to make a living off of? Right? You don't want to make a living. You don't want to, you can flourish. You can be successful for 3 months, 6 months, a year off that spot market freight. But when it turns, you better make sure that the company you're with, or you have that customer base to sustain your business, because that truck, that trailer you're buying, you're not paying for it in a year.
No.
It's not a year investment. And you have to make sure that you're ready to understand and work with that. But I do say this, companies out there, operations, VPs, owners, or whatever you're doing, hey, when somebody's thinking about it, encourage, look at it with them. Make sure they're making the right decision. Don't get mad at them. Don't tell, oh, it's never going to work there. Make sure they know if, in fact, something goes wrong, they have a place to come back to. Create success amongst your brothers and sisters. And what I do also encourage you to do that for, probably another reason I would say, is because it allows you to learn what your competition's doing as well.
Yeah,
what are they doing?
Yeah, get a good picture, and helping out and understanding it. That way you're not burning bridges, right? You're not, and nobody feels bad. I mean, we want success across the board for everybody and anybody at any time. And I'll tell you, this right here, this market is something that we're not used to, right? None of us are truly used to this concept of going out.
But again, this is new to us right now, and nothing about it is guaranteed. It's a spot market right now. We expect a lot of things, but those expectations change, I think, from company to company.
Wow.
Companies that the larger companies have, guess what? They have a lot more freight under contract than a smaller company. And be wary, because those folks are living off spot market only. The most important thing I want to encourage you to do is look at the safety record of that company that you're thinking about going to, because that should tell you everything. If they're an unsafe company, if their numbers say they're going to run you illegal, they probably are. You know, they're going to put you in a bad predicament, a bad situation.
Your license.
Do not undervalue the safety of where you are. Okay? Make sure that you're setting yourself up to succeed, and that starts with safety first. Drive safe, Dave. Speaking of safety, let's hit the phrase that pays.
Absolutely. Snow and ice can be bleak. Drive with care so we don't lose our safety streak.
One more time with no us.
Snow and ice can be bleak. Drive with care so we don't lose our safety streak.
All right, this is BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected.
News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong.
Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection, yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hump Day, isn't it? Almost forgot. Hey, I am Buckle Up Bob. You are at BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We're going to get you started off with a little bit of traffic. No, it don't. Actually, Fort Worth looks better. But the downtown, it's really congested. This is the northbound lane all the way south of 30 as you come into the downtown area, past it. There's a lot of construction that goes on during there. Right here is the 121 split going northeast, if you will. And that is always a congestion problem there. You have 2 or 3 ramps merging. And hey, stay tuned. We're going to talk a little bit this afternoon or this morning about the merge points. We kind of shared with you a week or so ago that while merge points only make up 5% of the roadway, they make up 30% of accidents that involve big trucks. So again, you've got a big issue this morning at all the merge points in the downtown Fort Worth area. Stay on the loops. Go around that area and then catch 35 either north or south after you go around the area. Stay on the loops. It's usually your best bet around metroplexes. Same true with the DFW. A lot of stuff going on in the downtown area. You can see 45. Somewhere in here was a police activity is all I heard. So I don't know what that means, if there was a chase going on, if they've got a problem. But again, you've got a lot of backups in the downtown Fort Worth area. I'm sorry, Dallas. So stay on the loops. The loops look pretty good with the exception of just to the north side up here in Garland. You've got a little bit of a problem. And that again is the northbound lane. 114, huge backup between 30 and 183. So again, you got to be patient. It looks dark red and maroon. You are going to have a major delay there as you go up north to the north end of the airport, the DFW airport. So DFW, need a little patience this morning, everybody. As we get into Houston, geez, I didn't even touch anything and it's there, isn't it? Huh. So again, everybody, Houston, the loops look great. The big outside loop, the tollway looks awesome. A little bit of a problem on the inside, 610. Over here on the west side by Bel Air, the northbound lane looks some issues there south of the tollway. And then the southbound lane north of that from 290 coming down also has a little bit of a backup. Northbound on 45 down by South Houston, also a little bit of a problem. And when you get out here on 10, as you are coming into the city by the George Bush Park, you have a little bit of a backup on 10 there as well. So Houston got a little bit of an issue this morning, but it looks like typical rush hour traffic, really. Kansas City. Kansas City, again, looks pretty good. Inside has a couple stop and go areas, but all in all, the loop is clear. 70 is clear through, and 35 looks great passing through as well. So Kansas City, you should have another great morning commute. We look at Chicago. Chicago looks great. Wow. You know, other than their sports teams, the traffic looks really much better than their sports teams. So great job this morning. 80, 90 across the state line of Illinois and Indiana looks good. 80 down here at Joliet. 55 coming up from the south looks great. Aurora, 88 moving in and left, east and west looks terrific, as does 90 up here by Elgin and Schaumburg, heading out to Rockford. And even yesterday we had a little bit of an issue coming from the north on 294. Looks terrific this morning. Chicago, you all have done a great job the last couple of weeks. Great job. Keep it going. Oh, and then we get to Atlanta, don't we? Boy, I tell you what, I love Georgia, but why would you ever want to live in the Atlanta area? I mean, there's a ton of things to do, but you're not going to get to them very quickly. So again, folks, you've got a headache again in Atlanta. Folks, if you're out there, don't forget about your logs, that you can pause your 14-hour day. It's a mess. If you have that flexibility, pull over, go off duty for a minimum of 2 hours, pause your 14 so that you can get through there safer and even more economical, right? If it takes you an hour and a half to get through this area versus 40 minutes, you've actually saved some time and been more economical. But again, you've got a major problem coming in from the west, eastbound on 20. Again, Stonecrest out here from Lithonia heading west into the city. 85 has a problem. You even got 19 coming down southbound has an issue. 75 southbound coming to the loop has some backups there, as does the loop. Sandy Springs always has a problem. The only clear area, again, is the southern portion. So if you're on 20, you absolutely must, by law, and you want to anyway, is to take that southern loop and cut across the bottom of Atlanta. Everywhere else, you're going to have some pretty good slowdowns this morning. Nashville. Well, we got some issues in Nashville this morning, folks. Again, the typical 24 down here all the way back to Walnut Ridge. That happens quite frequently. But we also, at the merge points, again, we're going to talk a lot about the merge points. A lot of these cities did not design these merge points for this amount of traffic, right? And that's why you see all these major cities under construction. But so you've got to be patient. Remember, these merge points take up 5% of the highways in the U.S., but they account for 30% of big rig accidents. So again, we've got a huge backup right here on 2440 merge, southeast of Nashville. You also have 31E has a problem. 24 coming southbound into the downtown area. Always an issue there this morning. But again, the big story is we've got a pretty good backup on 40 past the merge on both sides of the merge point on 2440. So be patient. If you're coming up 24 from the south, as you get to 40, cut around, right? Try to maybe take 155 to 440 and go around the area, and you will probably be better off. You can even go up through Mud Tavern and take 155 on the east side of that merge point as well. Baltimore, not too bad. I mean, it just looks like typical traffic day. We always have a little bit of issue up here at Parkville area on the loop. We got a little bit on the southbound, pretty good stretch from 795 all the way down to past 70, Woodlawn and Catonsville. You've got some backup. It's in the orange and the red. So again, we're looking probably at about a 20-minute backup there as you come in down to the 95 split. 100 here, crossing 295, 95. We have a little bit of a slowdown in both directions. But all in all, the connectors 295, 95 up from Baltimore to D.C. area look good. D.C. area looks typical as well, just a normal commute. Always an issue on the northbound side of these loops. Silver Spring all the way over to College Park. You have some issues both directions. And then again on the southbound lane down here by Forestville on 95, a little bit of a backup there. And then always at Annandale. So again, this just looks like a typical normal rush hour. It doesn't look like overly bad, but it's not great either. So you're going to need a little bit of patience, a lot of space as you come into the D.C. area. Philadelphia, a little bit better than yesterday. Remember, we were backed up all the way back here to Valley Forge almost. Now we're just at Conshohocken again. The riverside here, I think there's some construction going along there. So again, you've got it in both directions this morning on Philadelphia. New Jersey side looks good again. So all in all, again, this looks like a normal rush hour day for the Philadelphia area at this time. There does seem to be something up on the 276. Looks on the westbound lane direction that you've got a little bit of a backup as you come up to Horsham, Pennsylvania this morning. So again, Philadelphia, just need a little patience, folks. Hey, we're going to go into the weather. And the big story today is, it's going to get cold outside, right? I believe they said around noon or 1, you should see your highs. So we're going to kind of look real quick and see what we're looking at. And nothing's populating. Let's see. Yeah, we're on temperature. There they come. So you kind of see Dallas at 2 p.m., 58. Go back 60. There you go. That's what they're at 11. So about noon, this cold front is going to start pushing in. You can see all the blue and the dark purple coming in, right? Even at 11 a.m. today, Bismarck is going to be at 5 below zero. Let's look at the current temperatures. Okay, actually, they're going to warm up. Right? It's already 10 below. So again, going to warm up a little bit, but as you can see, this is a major cold front. So not only are we going to deal with the cold front, but we'll show you what it's going to create havoc in the south as you go through. So as we get into 6 p.m., let's go back. And you can see Dallas was at 60 by 6. In 3 to 4 hours after the 1 o'clock time, you're already down about 15 degrees. It's going to be in the 40s for your rush hour commute home. You see Oklahoma City below freezing. Memphis at 40, right? And what we're going to see as the days go is the entire country almost is going to be gripped in this cold. So tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., look at that. There is nobody, and I mean nobody, in the 50s, right? Not in the United States. It looks, everything's 46, and the only area looks like it might be Tampa hits 50 and New Orleans hits 58. So as you see, we're going in for some bitter cold starting this afternoon into the hours tomorrow. And then tomorrow around 2 p.m., which is usually where the best chance for our highs are going to be. Again, you can see Florida gets in the 70s. California, Southern California gets in the 60s a little bit. And Phoenix gets in the 60s. Everybody else is going to be in the 30s and the 40s. So not much of a warm-up tomorrow. Here's what we got to worry about. Let's see if it's changed any for today. So, yep, there it is. Again, this afternoon as that cold front pushes in, look what it does with precipitation. There is a chance for some freezing rain stretching all the way through the northern part of Arkansas. I'm going to guess that's just north of Little Rock. See if we can jump in there and kind of get an idea. Get off of there. There's Little Rock. So, yeah, it's going to be north of Little Rock, Heber Springs, Jonesboro, right? You're going to be right on that edge. These brown patches are ice pellets, right? And then you've got Fort Smith. We've got some freezing rain expected this afternoon. Yeah. And then again, you see a little bit coming in off the lake. Now watch, as we go into tomorrow, tonight, that ice pellets and that freezing rain at midnight pushes into the Memphis area. So you got to plan accordingly. You can see right where that freeze line is, the snow behind it, and it's a very small line. So as it moves, it's going to go in and out of freezing rain like crazy. So you've got to be ready for it. Shut her down well ahead. Remember, what you have to do is plan, a good plan, because we know, you all know out there, the truck stops are going to fill up quick when the weather gets bad, especially in ice. So you've got to have that plan. Don't wait till you're in it to have a plan to find a place. Try to find a place and shut her down a little bit earlier. Tomorrow morning, it kind of not as bad, but you still got a problem here in Alabama. And again, this is what I hate about the freezing rain. See how spotty it is for the forecast? So drivers, just because you're on wet roads does not mean they're not slick. It does not mean you're not going to come up to some icy patches. They could be half-mile stretches, which are treacherous, because you go from that rain to this. So you've got to back it down. You've got to know your areas. Get the windy.com app. It'll give you current radar as well as forecasted, and a little bit in Mississippi. Tomorrow, 4 p.m., you can see it warms up enough to where it really don't see a whole lot. And then Friday, I believe the Carolinas are going to see, there it is. Friday, Carolinas, south, north, huge patches of ice areas. And then it should reach into Georgia. Good. They've kind of taken it out a little bit. Yesterday, it reached into Atlanta and the Georgia area, but now it looks like wet snow. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's good sign, is another area. But again, look what happens in the Northwest. While one's pushing out, we got another snowstorm coming into Denver and Nebraska and Wyoming, and Utah. So again, we've got to look at some other storm systems coming out as well. Flagstaff could see a little bit of precipitation as well. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with some safety.
Welcome back to BCB Live, safest station in the nation. Joined now with our resident expert on the safety and weather. Buckle up, Bob. Buckle up. You know what? How you doing, bud?
Good. Enjoy this warm weather because it's going to get cold here.
You know what? It was absolutely gorgeous. I almost went back inside and threw some shorts on. It's nice outside today, but it's going to cool down, I think, tonight about 6, 7 o'clock.
Before that, yeah.
It's a little bit chilly. And for those of you up in the north or the Midwest, hey, sorry, you're probably already experiencing some of that.
13 below in Dakotas. So, yes, they
hey,
sure
Bob, I know we're talking about accident reporting, and we want to get into the weather, right? What the road conditions are like. You know, we see accidents happen on the road today, or an accident to me, I think to all of us, is anytime you hit something. It doesn't have to be a car. It can be a pole. It can be something like that. But there's also things that we see that we have to recognize, you know, when we fill out an accident report. When we catch ourselves saying the word "to," Drive Safe Dave, I'm going to go to you on that. When we say, you know what, it was too tight. What should our, you know, we've already filled the report out, right? Well, now we're saying, hey, it was too dark. It was too this, too that. Going back, if you had to go back and redo it, what would you do?
Yeah, anytime you use the adverb "to," it usually means in excess to where it is a negative impact. If it's too sweet, that means it's probably not, that's probably not good, right? If it's too tight, then that means it's too tight to put it in there. If it's too something, anytime you're using the adverb TOO, you're generally doing it into an excess with a negative impact. So you've got to understand how that, and so you're telling yourself, man, that's too tight. If you tell yourself that's too tight, guess what? Don't put it in there. It won't fit. Right?
Yeah. Or Bob, you know, if you're back, and sometimes we have shippers, right, or receivers that, man, those docks, they're enclosed, and there's other trucks, and it's too tight, and maybe you can fit in there, maybe everybody else did it, but sometimes when you use the word "to," that means maybe I need to go get help.
Yeah.
Yes.
A spotter.
Or even another driver. I rarely have ever seen another driver say, "No, I'm not going to help you."
Yeah,
Really?
it could be a hostler. Maybe there's a hostler out there that has, you know, doesn't have that whole room that can fit in that a lot easier than you. There's a lot of things that we can do to make sure that we don't get to that accident report. But when we do have an accident, Bob, there's items that we've got to make sure is filled out.
Yeah, and there's many, so we're going to kind of break them up over the next 2 days. And the first one is make sure you've got the accurate time and location, right? The weather conditions. And a lot of that, other than the time, even the time cam, when you take a picture, right? Nowadays, the camera has the timestamp. You get a sign, you've got the location automatically in a picture, and you automatically get the weather. So, you know, if it's get in the habit of getting your camera out right away and start snapping that picture. But you want to make sure you have accurate time, location, and mile marker.
I'll tell you what happens, and I get it. I've been there, and what happens is you get a little excited, something happened, and you got to call the boss, you got to call the office, you got to let them know that something as bad has happened, and you get a little excited, and you don't slow down and take your time, and you don't get the needed information. And what typically happens is you pick up the phone and call Bob, and then all of a sudden he goes, well, where are you at? And now all of a sudden you're looking around for the street signs, and you're trying to figure exactly out where you're at or what happened. Kind of gather your thoughts. Make sure that you're genuinely, take a deep breath, all right? As long as everybody's okay, then we move forward and we get the needed information. And what Bob's saying is, when you do call and you do have to get that information, make sure you're prepared, right? And that you do know exactly where you are, right? Or you do know what mile marker you're at and what direction you're headed. And you understand that these things take a moment, right? You got to be genuinely prepared. And after you're on the phone is not when you need to try to figure out where you are.
And Bob, for many of these companies, and I would say this, I guess, for even if you're an independent contractor out there, get a form ready to go. So when you have it, you can take that out of your permit book, right? And just go down the list and get all that pertinent information that's required. If you try to do it off muscle memory, well, unless you're having accidents all the time, you're not going to remember everything. So we don't want you to memorize it. We want it to be something new because you don't have them all the time, and you want to take that reminder out to go over that checklist to make sure you have it all.
Absolutely correct. I love the 2, by the way, because we always talk too fast for conditions, right? Never good. Yes. So again, hey, we've got the weather. It's here. We've seen it the last couple of weeks. So it's really important that we get this information, and you got to get it timely. Don't wait, report it. And just remember, with the technology nowadays, don't panic. One of the best things you can do that you may not think about is, and you must do it anyway, is log it on your log. Because guess what? We are now going to have the latitude and longitude of where you stopped. We are going to have a note that's going to give us a timestamp on your log that's going to give us that information as well. So just understand technology and how it can aid in your accident reporting process as well. And we've got some great videos this morning, I think. Some great ones to learn from. This first one, driver is slowing down, believe it already. Stale green, it's still green. Driver is preparing to stop and is able. Four-wheeler, not so much. Outstanding job by this driver. Stayed in their lane. Wow. Prepared to. That is awesome, wasn't it?
That is a patient driver there. I'm thinking, you know what? But he sees, or this driver sees that this is green for a long time. They could have sped up a long time ago and probably got there right when the light turned yellow, put themselves in a bad spot, right? But they noticed that, you know what?
Right here, they're already slowing down according to the chart.
Man. This is, you know what? It's going to be green. I don't want to make the bad highlight from Drive Safe Dave and Sir Rick and Buckle Up Bob. I want to be a positive influence. Great job, driver.
That was terrific. Hey, this next one, again, you can see all the things that go through a driver's mind in this video because I'll kind of give you some information too. It looks worse than what it really was. But you can see he starts to jump out there. Nothing was in that mirror till right there. But what you don't see here, and the graph shows that he's slowing down now. He is slowing down, being prepared to stop. Starts to make that maybe not safest decision, sees there's traffic up ahead, right? And ducks back. Hey, one of the things we can learn, you can see the construction site. Just stay where you're at, right? You were slowing down, great. Just prepare to stop here. That's what you can learn from it. All in all, it looks worse, but the driver was doing some things good here. Just almost made a bad decision.
Yeah, and by the time he's next to this truck up here, and again, I can see what you're saying on that, but he's at worst, he's like 3.5 seconds from this truck.
Yes.
You can see it from the last barrel up here. The driver's definitely slowing down, keeping space. It gets in that lane, maybe doesn't need to, right?
Right.
Make sure, but the speed and the space, hey, great job on that. Big picture, maybe something we always got to look at, though.
Correct.
Keep them eyes moving.
Man, what we got to remember, folks, is, okay, right here you're good. Start to slow down. You're still too close, right? And so, again, you've got to back off some more. Remember, each lane change should take 3 to 4 seconds, not 3 to 4 seconds to go over 2. You've got to make sure there's plenty of traffic here to make sure that everything's clear. The mirrors do look clear here for the most part there, as you can see, so the driver comes on over. But again, These are habits that get instilled in you if you don't practice what the safest way is. Here it worked out, but it's not always going to be that way. So you have to have that habit. Hey, back off. What you started to do, great. Now back off some more and stay here for 3 to 4 seconds. Make sure, and then go ahead and make your next lane.
Dave, talk about some areas here that we can improve on when we see this video.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you take control of the lane that you're in. Here, you've already determined, hey, I don't want to pass on the right.
Okay, stop here for a second. Stop right here. So drive safe, Dave. Right now, I'm behind that rider vehicle. What should be going through my mind now? Because you tell me, I really don't know what's in front of this vehicle anymore, right?
No.
I'm about 1.25 seconds behind it.
You already know that there's traffic up ahead. So right here, at this moment right here, you need to back off because you need to take control of this lane. And in order to take control of this lane, you need the proper spacing to the vehicle in front of you.
One more time. So take control of a lane. What does that mean again?
That means you've moved into the lane that you've designed, and that now everybody knows you're in that lane, and you are in this lane for good.
You're owning it, right?
You're owning this lane.
This is my lane. It's my space, and that's the part we want to improve on.
We want to improve on that. And I understand you're going to move again,
Yep.
but what you need to do is back off from the truck, give yourself that safe distance, just for a second. You know what? It wouldn't take but just a few seconds more. Like Bob said, 3 to 5 seconds. Control that lane. Signal everybody that you're done. Right? Your signal's been turned off. Everybody knows you're in that lane. Now you turn it on again. Yeah, this is when you need to control the lane. You never stopped moving across. You're basically skipping across 2 lanes.
And we've seen videos. At this point, you don't know if that traffic that was ahead just all of a sudden came to a complete stop. We've seen that happen. And so you've got to back off in case that happens.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to encourage us to use this. Own it. Own your lane. And if we own your lane, that means you own the space in front of you, behind you, and that speed. You're owning it. It's yours. It's nobody else's. Make sure that you own that part. Next one.
These last two are something we talked about just recently. Driver does a great job. This is a hard brake, which is one of the good ones. Again, not only are they able to stop with plenty of space, so great picture, but then they show the courtesy, and they're going to let the next vehicle get in there too, in case they want. I love that. Just a good job. Again, what can we learn to be better? They're safer, and safest. There wasn't quite the braking early on as you merge to the merge points, and we're going to see another one. But remember, a couple weeks ago, we talked about always yield the right of way instead of taking it, and we shared that merge points take up 5% of the roadways, but they account for 30% of big rig truck accidents. So again, even though there's very small occupiers of the entire roadways throughout the country, they account for 30% of accidents. So you've got, just like traffic intersections, you've got to kind of start slowing and be prepared, especially when you see a line. We know 1 to 5 are cutting over anyway, right?
And all of this, Drive Safe Dave, coming from a cattle hauler. I mean, we all think that they just go, go, go. This is a cattle hauler here saying, you know what? I, too, have some patience.
Yeah,
great job. I mean, I love how I let everybody else in, too.
Yeah.
Terrific job. Next one, same thing, right? It's nighttime. Driver's doing a great job in their lane. You know, a slight tap of the brake right about here, but not really any major slowdown. Again, it's a merge point, right? Nobody is around. You just know it's going to happen. When you see them coming up, you just got to approach them a little bit like intersections. Not necessarily be prepared to stop, but slow down, be prepared for this. It just happens way too often. Every driver probably sees this 5 to 10 times a day. 50? Yeah. So, but all in all, some great videos, some really good speed and space management. I loved a lot of the videos, and the things that we could do, just quite tweaking them and become that safest driver out there. Just awesome job.
That's what we like. Again, we are that safest station in the nation. I want to remind you, if you have questions, comments, you can find us, comment on our videos on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook. Email us, get in touch with us, let us know. You can also contact us for prayer requests or anything like that. Hey, we're going to say them all the time. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day you've given us. We ask our prayers for these drivers out there on the road to keep them safe and to get them back home safe. Lord, I know some of these folks are going through pain from COVID or the loss of loved ones or cancer, and we just ask you to be with them, to keep them strong, and to allow us to reach out to them, to remind us, each and every one of us, that we can make a big impact on the lives of somebody else, somebody that's going through that pain. Big prayer right now goes out to Justin Hayes and his and the loss of his grandma, that we we be with him and be with his family and comfort them in this time of loss. Continue to watch over us, keep us safe, help us work on the message that we're giving out as well to improve how we do it, to allow us to make a positive impact on others watching this show. We ask all this in your son's name. Amen. Thank you for watching BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. More coming to you this afternoon. Stay tuned for your local news.